Lisa sitting there. So I shall begin. So we all know that physical activity is a key essential ingredient in order to maintain and regain personal physical health. And today we also have a technology which can support this experience of being physically active. So for example, Robert in his talk gave an example of a Fitbit device which can track your steps which you have taken in a day. And I am particularly working with heart rate monitors like the one you see in the figure, which tracks your heart rate during your physical activity and show this information in the form of a nice infographic on a virtual screen, which you can see on your computer or on your mobile. But when we looked at the commercial applications that are available, as well as the academic explorations that happened in the last few years in this area, we see an emphasis over a virtual medium in order to show the physical activity data, which we think is not bad because virtual medium has many advantages in terms of the interactive capabilities, like you can zoom onto a data which you want and see a particular instant where my heartbeat is, or you could even dynamically update the data. However, the virtual medium also has some limitations on what can be experienced with it. For example, the picture under the glass effect, which is coined by the great Victor, which says that the virtual medium lacks rich tactile feedback. And there has been a focus in terms of satisfying your virtual senses, but your other senses remains implicit in a physical world. Secondly, if you consider material representations, they are not only more public and visible, but they are also something which we can touch, explore, carry with us, as well as possess. Additionally, we will also like to argue that as these technologies like devices like Fitbits or heart rate monitors are becoming increasingly pervasive in our lives, what we do with them should not be just limited to showing our performance and encouraging us towards the next achievable health goal. We also are particularly looking for conveying meaning beyond the data and looking for a complementary design strategies. One thing that particularly encouraged our explorations in this field was the rapid advancements in the digital fabrication. So 3D printers are becoming more and more accessible and easy to operate and print the devices, and very soon we could have 3D printers in our home. So we put forward a new medium of interaction, which is a physical, digital to physical, where the physical activity is first measured using a personal informatic device like a heart rate monitor and captured in a digital form, and then using a personal fabrication device like a 3D printer, it's again converted in a physical form and re-entering the physical world. So as a proof of concept, we created a system called Sweat Atoms, and you could see the demo upstairs. I have these printers. You are welcome to come and see the heartbeat printing, but I will explain how the steps work. So a person performs this regular and usual physical exercise while wearing a heart rate monitor. This heart rate monitor sends data to an application which then models which then creates a 3D model of the pattern of heartbeat that is being captured, and this model file is then printed using a 3D printer. Our hope is that having the representation in a physical form could explore different features about the physical activity experience and could enrich the person's experience with the physical activity. However, while doing that, it's not as easy as a direct translation from a virtual world to a physical world, because as we all know, the heart rate or a breathing rate, any kind of a biosignal, has no direct natural counterpart that can be graphically reproduced. So it becomes the responsibility of the designer to create meaningful mappings in order to communicate this data to the user. So we've currently explored 5 different representations. You could see 5 of them here lying around, and one I'm wearing. So I'll explain one of each of them one by one. So the first one is merely a transformation from a virtual world to the physical world, where the heartbeats per minute are being extruded in a physical form. in a 3D form. The second one is a flower model, where rather than representing each and every heartbeat, only the significant changes that happen in your heartbeat during the day are being captured and represented. So the more dynamically changing your heartbeats are, the more dynamic or more rapid floral pattern would be. And the length of the peaks or the petals denotes the intensity at that particular moment. The third model is a frog model, which is more like a reward. So the more the physical activity you do, the bigger the frog becomes. The fourth model is the dice model. So those of you who are into heart rate based training, they know that with heartbeat there are 6 different zones, from recovery zone to the speed zone, which are calculated based upon the maximum heart rate a person can achieve based upon his age. We see that the dice also has 6 faces, so each face represents one particular zone, and the circles in that particular face denotes the amount of time you spend in that particular zone. And the last model is a ring model, which is more of a variable, and where the bubbles around the ring shows the number of active hours you have in that particular day. And the diameter of the bubbles captures the amount of physical activity in that particular hour. So besides designing these 5 representations, we would also like to know that whether it actually makes any difference into a person's world and how a person will react when they have a 3D printer which is printing their personal heartbeat data every day. So we deployed our systems into 6 different homes in Melbourne for a period of 2 weeks, where participants wore the heart rate monitor for the entire day, and at the end of the day, they printed all 5 objects like these. So you could see the person printing each day and then sorting them out day-wise per day. And we now just explore what are the initial findings we had from our study. So the participants were really keen and really liked to see their objects printing differently based upon their physical activity, as their physical activity also differed according to the day. And they see it's like a recap of what they have done. Amongst the model, the well-received model or the best-received model was the frog model, which people liked. And one person quoted in terms of, it is like burning your body fat and putting it onto a frog. Some people also thought, since it is in a physical plastic form, how can I actually show it to the world? So one participant tried to make a clock, which he is willing to put up on his wall to remind us that how he did well during that study period. Although we were not directly keen on any behavioral change as such, in order to make people more physically active just because of these short interventions, but luckily or fortunately, we also had some kind of, some participants also got motivated to exercise more, as one of the participants tended to exercise more even on the weekends, which earlier she would not have done. Also, the DICE model specifically made participants realize about how much time they spent sitting. Like, as Robert might have said to you, like, it's not good to have just an exercise at the end. You need to be active throughout the day. So the DICE model was one of the representations for that. People also like to have it in a physical form, since it is more personal and consistent. So based upon that, there are 3 key themes that emerge, which is in terms of autotopography, having physical representations of your data in your surroundings. So for that, the utility as well as aesthetics of the designs mattered, having physical form as a reward, and having physical objects as a critical design to encourage conversations and discussions around these topics. So to sum up, through our study, we show one particular way where giving a physical form to an ephemeral experience of a physical activity could lead to a richer and more deeper engagement with the data. And we encourage people to consider physical-digital interaction more predominantly in the design space. Thank you.
Questions for Rohit?
Yes.
I'm wondering if you have investigated the differences between having the physical form and just looking at the your records on the mobile phone, because intuitively that looks like you can have more or does.
Yes, I mean, yeah. What the study that we did was more in terms of the in the wild study, but we didn't do a comparative study like how the comparisons is between the virtual world or a physical world. But through the interviews, we came to know that the virtual world, the physical representations had a more impact or more associations to that data. Like one participant said that if it would have been in a virtual form, I could have just looked at it at the end of the day and I could have forgot about it. But now it is in personal physical form, it is more personal. So I can have conversations with that particular data even after a long period of time in between. So I could show it, like people also had conversations with the visitors who came during the study period and they talked about how their data is different. And they showed like sometimes they had higher peaks, so that represented a bigger activity in that day. So that also reflected in the study.